Okay, the reason I bring you here was there's nothing here, obviously. They've torn it all down. But this right here, either that lot or this lot or that one of these three lots was the house that my dad built back in the probably early 30s. And you can see the picture of it right there with the, I can't imagine how the power man read the meter way up there in the top of the building. But my dad laid those logs and he poured this concrete, and you can see me and my sister and my brother are sitting on the front porch, and there's no top on the step. And the story goes that my mom walked out the front door and wasn't paying attention, and she stepped down too far and sprained her ankle, and she was up crippled for about 4 days. Anyway, that's where the house was. The interesting thing is, if you see up there the big trees, as far as you can see, these trees just on the right were in the back of our property, but those bigger trees up there further, there's an irrigation ditch that goes along there and irrigates all the farmlands out in the far south. Anyway, when they first moved there, they had to go up to that irrigation ditch and get the water to drink. And I don't know where they had an outhouse, but I'm sure they didn't have an indoor toilet. And as a matter of fact, after we lived in this house, I don't remember, but this is a story. After we lived in this house for a couple of years, my dad sunk a well just right outside the wall. And right here, because of all the watering in the summertime, the groundwater is pretty clean and it's not very far down. And so he fixed up a pump, a pump like this, in the sink in the kitchen, so that Mom could have water without having to go up to the lake. The other interesting thing was they were, I don't know, they were just young and they didn't have a cabinet. And Mom says that they used to use orange crates. You know what an orange crate is? It's about this wide and has two parts. And she'd get those orange, and they're about, maybe 18 inches square. And she had a whole bunch of orange crates that she used with a board on top for a cabinet. And she says, as long as she had the curtain closed in front of it, we'd leave the pots and pans alone. But as soon as she opened the curtains, Dawn and I would have the pans all over the house making noise and all kinds of fun things. Anyway, the picture down below is my dad and my mom and my sister, me and my brother.
So is that a little one-bedroom cabin? Is that what it was?
It was a one-room cabin, and they had a partition that went right across the middle. And I kind of remember, but it may not be true, but that partition went right through a window. In other words, the window was half in the kitchen side and half in the front room bedroom side. Down at the bottom of that page is a picture of the house in 1970. And you see it's been added on. They added on, whoever owns it now added it on and everything, but this part on the far left was what my dad built. The other thing in that page is if we went down about 3 lots down here, there was this building, this shed, and I don't know what it is, but that's kind of what I remember my grandmother living in. And we'd go down there and all she had was a chamber pot, if you know what that is, goes under the bed, you have to use it in the nighttime, and a bed and a coal stove to keep her warm. Anyway, I don't know if that's the exact house, but it was just like that, and it was down there. And I can remember going down there to see my grandma, and no, that's where Grandma Ellen Allen lived, my dad's mother.
Oh, okay.
Bertha Boulder lived in the house we showed you downtown until she got sent to the asylum. They declared her crazy. It was funny. Back then, if you couldn't put up with somebody, all you had to do is go to the state and declare they were crazy, and then they would send them to the sane asylum. My grandmother's probably spent 20 years in the sane asylum there, and they finally, no, she's not had to be here. And so she came to live with us in Spokane. But she was real hard to get along with, to be frank. Anyway, on the back of page 7, you don't have that. There's no pictures.
So is this the house where your dad put an addition on for you and Dawn. Now, I remember something that, maybe the story's wrong, that he got like an old chicken coop and added it onto the house so you two
No.
boys had someplace to live. Is that?
No, when we lived in Roy, Utah, we rented a restaurant that was almost a chicken coop because it had a kitchen, a storage room, and a front room. What we had as a bedroom and all that. But I don't remember living in a chicken coop. My grandma Boulder probably lived in a chicken coop with her kids when she was sent to Laramie before they sent her to the insane asylum. Anyway, what we want to do now for those people who are physically able, we're going to walk up this path because Pine Street, or Main Street of town, didn't used to turn up this way. It used to come right up this street. And when we get up to that bridge, I'll tell you a few more stories about that. Obviously, this bridge is a walking bridge. It's not a car bridge. Back when I was here, when I lived here, Pine Street, you can't quite see it, but Pine Street came right up there, right up the hill, and I don't know whether it was here or over there or someplace. It went right on up the hill to get up on the top of the hill. And that road that's there now was a turnoff to go to the cemetery and Fremont Lake, and where we're going to go. Now my question is, how would you like to drink that water? Yeah, probably pretty clean. But like I said, they would walk from their house down there, come up here and get 5 gallons or whatever of water and take it down. And back then you'd pour it in a dish pan and heat it up on the stove and leave a pitcher or two to drink. Anyway, you can see these trees. These trees weren't there. They were probably there, but they're real small. But there were trees like that, even bigger, just down over that way. And one summer, you don't realize that nowadays, if your son or daughter goes walking more than a half a block away from his house, you're afraid that some goono is going to kidnap them, and your kids don't get out. But we had control of not control. We had freedom to go anywhere we wanted in this town. Like I say, go down and swim in Pine Creek, come up here and play in this creek, and we even hiked all the way to Fremont Lake one day. I'll tell you more about that when we get up there. Anyway, the reason I wanted to bring you up here was all this kind of divot in here, this sink where it's lower than the rest of the hill, was a gravel pit. And you can see the kind of gravel on the road there. It was good concrete gravel. And the whole deal was, if you wanted to pour some concrete, you brought your pickup here, shoveled in whatever you want, and went down there and made some concrete. And since there was a lot of excavation there, holes, the groundwater would seep into those holes, and it would come running down over here and into this ditch. And I think at least 3 years, we'd come up here and find the main ditch, the little drain of that pond up there, and we'd make ditches that go around the mountain and around just like this ditch, little ditches and around and around and around, and finally dump in here. We'd spend the whole day up there engineering the irrigation of the gravel pit. What else? Told you about the treehouse. The treehouse, we built a treehouse down there, and we were very punctual to go back for lunch. And when Mom said it was 12 o'clock, you guys got to come home for lunch. And so we went home for lunch and came back to finish the house, and somebody stole all our tools. So we never did finish that house. Also, the interesting thing, where we pulled up on that dirt road, when Rob says, "Is this a road or somebody's driving?" And Rob said that, you guys probably saw the same thing. But on the side of that was what's called a borrow pit, where they dig the dirt out to make the road. And it was full of water too, and we'd catch frogs and frog eggs and all kinds of fun things down there. I don't know, you guys will appreciate it. But somebody told me that the frog had a complete tube from his mouth to his rear end. And I said, hey, did you know the frogs have a complete pipe? And so I stuck a nail down this frog. That's kind of cruel, such a cruel thing to do. Yeah, but it didn't come out as you know what. It came out by his leg. And I said, well, I guess I missed the tube. What stupid, I don't know what crazy little kids do. In the wintertime, this was our famous place to sled because the road down here was packed with snow hard. And you could get down to the sled and you could come all the way down to where that stop sign is almost coasting until you get down there. Anyway, somebody gave me a pair of skis. And you guys all know what ski bindings are. They didn't have ski bindings in 1945. They had someplace to put your toe, and you wore your shoes, and then there was a strap around your heel. And that's all there was to hook yourself to the skis. And I started up here someplace. The ditch was frozen over. And so I went down in the ditch, up over the bank, and down the hill, and I thought, oh, the road's got to be the fastest place to go, but you don't ski on hard ice. And I got down there about where those trucks are, and I fell flat on my nose. And I just really skidded up my nose really bad because I didn't know how to ski. And I think that was the second to the last time I was on skis. The last time we went up to Mount Hood. Anyway, the other stupid thing is kids. You know how kids are. Again, the banks of the gravel pit were really steep. As a matter of fact, the sand was up here, and the rough gravel was here, and the bigger gravel was there. And so they'd try to cave it off to get the right size of gravel that they wanted. And like I say, us kids would get big rocks and throw them up on the side of the thing, trying to get it to cave off.
While you're standing at the bottom?
Yeah, while you're standing at the bottom. And guess what? We never succeeded. Anyway, the picture of Mom, it says Odette with free lunch counter. She hates that picture, but I like it.
She hates that picture?
Yeah, because you can see her, you know what. But that was the way you took care of your kids back then. I think they did have bottles that they could feed them. And now we're going to get back on this road and go back up to the cemetery where I don't know whether I can find the boulders, but I know where the Allen's tombstone is. And then we'll head up to to Fremont Lake.